So I'm excited to be here today and to talk to you guys a little bit about sobriety for those of you who are maybe teetering the thought of if you should get sober, or maybe you are sober and not for sure if sober is for you. Um, I am blessed to have 6 years of sobriety, and I'm excited to be able to come and talk to you all about my journey. So welcome in. So one of the things that I want to talk to you about is family and relationships. One of the reasons that I knew it was time for me to get sober is because I was always constantly into it with family due to my using. I was doing mean things. I was stealing. I've done that. Cussing at my mom. Just things that I wouldn't do sober. I was ruining relationships. I wasn't a role model to my siblings. I couldn't have a healthy relationship because I didn't know what a healthy relationship looked like. So obviously my partners and I were always fighting. I knew it was about time for me to get sober because I wasn't a good parent to my daughter, even though she doesn't live with me. She was taken at birth. The fact that I was barely even trying to have a relationship with her, I was always too busy, you know what I mean? I neglected time with my grandparents, and this is something that I've always wanted to do, is spend time with them, but I was just always too busy for that. So if you're finding yourself in situations to where you're having problems with relationships or having problems building in relationships, it's probably something to look at, you know? Another reason why I knew that it's time for me to get sober is because I was having legal problems. I was constantly in trouble with the law. I had lots of tickets, driving on suspension, driving with no license, driving with no insurance, DUI, theft. It started off with just driving, and it got worse. Assaults, domestic violence, and it even went up to I caught my first felony attempted robbery. And then I caught another felony for felony flight to avoid arrest. So me getting in trouble, your story may not be like mine or as extreme. This is just to hopefully help you decide if this is for you or not for you. So another reason why I knew it was time for me to get sober was because I didn't have a spiritual relationship with a higher power. I didn't have a term for it, but I kind of now know today it's called atheist. I had been born and raised Baptist, and for me, that didn't work for me. There was a lot of hush hush, or you should not do this or you're going to hell. I'm a lesbian. So for years I believed that I was going to hell, and I would repent before I went to sleep with my partner, that if I died in my sleep, that I wake up in heaven and not hell. I was always in trouble, especially as a juvie. It was hushed because I was going to church a lot, and I just felt like the church people that I was, wasn't for me as far as who I was, and because I was this big sinner, I was going to hell, and I just didn't. That's no way to live, That's no way to have a relationship with a higher power when you feel like your higher power hates you because of something, or condemns you, or is going to send you to burn in fire forever because of some of the ways that you have, or some of the mistakes that you have made, like me getting in trouble going in and out of jail. Another thing is I came to terms that my sexuality has nothing to do with my spirituality, and I was raised to believe that it did. And that's a whole nother topic I can go in another day, but it just created this disconnect. So I didn't have a higher power. So it took me to realize, I need to get sober. I want to have a relationship with a higher power. So I didn't have to do educating myself. I had to do some research and find something that worked for me, and I have. Another reason why I knew it was time for me to get sober, I couldn't hold down a job. And if I was on the job, I was late, or my production was slacking. I was always in trouble, and if they had a point system, I was always maxed out on points, just about to get fired always, I always felt like the employee who always just got in trouble, and then write-ups, my drug use affected my job and career. So I don't know if it does for you. Like I said, to each his own. Hopefully, if it's just one of these things that stick out to you, you can resonate with. This is my story that I'm sharing with you. Also, if maybe you have a business and your business isn't doing as good as it should be, or you feel it should be, maybe it's something to take a look at. Your productivity is low. You're not showing up as your best self. Another reason why I knew it was time for me to get sober is because finances. I spent too much money on my drugs and alcohol. And then not just even on that, when I was drinking, I spent a lot of money. I didn't have the mentality to say, no, Alexis, you can't afford to go out to eat and splurge all this money on everybody because you're partying and having a good time. So for me, to be under influence was like party time, everybody shops on me, everybody, the next round's on me or whatnot. I literally spent too much money. And I wasn't really good at my money. My credit was suffering because I wasn't good with paying bills. I would pay my dope dealer, though, if I owed some money. If I borrowed some money from somebody that I knew would always loan me money to feed my alcohol or addiction, I would pay them because I knew that I needed them to keep me funded. But when it came to lights and rent or whatnot, that type of stuff, I didn't worry about. It wasn't important to me. So that for my credit was struggling. I didn't have a savings, I had goals. I had things that I wanted to do, but I always see people doing it. I'm like someday, but I never would save the money. So if you feel like you're struggling with saving money and doing things that you want to do because of your drug usage and you're spending too much money on either using or getting the booze or whatever, or the nights out that you're partying or on fines and just anything that's tied to your drug addiction, it could be a reason why you should probably take a look at and see if it's time for you to get sober. I wanted to go on vacations, I didn't go on vacations when I was using. My money was always gone, Mental health. My mental health was suffering. I have anxiety and depression, so I struggled with I used the drugs and alcohol to numb out. So obviously when I was sober, I was a shit show, pardon my French. A shit show. I literally was. I was a mess because obviously now I'm raw. I don't have any medicine in me. I wasn't doing no therapy or anything. So my mental health was failing and failing fast, Towards the end of my little roundabout last time right before I got sober, I was crazy. I literally felt like I needed to be admitted into a crazy hospital because my mind was gone. And because you can't use drugs and alcohol to, we do it subconsciously. We self-medicate, but you just can't. So if you're struggling, if you have mental health problems and you're not on your meds, you're not seeking a therapist, you're not seeking the mental health that you need, then maybe it's time to look at your drug and alcohol use. Also, I wasn't growing as a human being, period. You ever felt like everyone's passing you by? You see on social media, people just living this life. They're upgrading their cars, their houses, their vacations, their spouses. They're doing these things and you're kind of just still stuck and struggling, surviving, barely surviving. For me, that was terrible to feel those emotions and to see everyone else doing things that I was like, everybody just passing me up. And I just felt like I was stuck. I felt like I was doomed, But I had goals. I just wasn't tapping into them. I wasn't growing. I wasn't growing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, nothing. You know what I mean? Maybe you want to start a business, but you're not growing in that area. For me, I've always had these business ideas, but I wasn't ready to grow because I was too busy getting high and drunk. Another reason why you should probably think about if it's time for you to stop using is if you're tired of hurting inside. The pain that you just can't explain, that's just there constantly from, like I said, the not growing, the things that you're doing or not doing in your life that you should be doing. It's just hurtful to be out there and you just feel like you got to keep using to cover that pain. You too at some point can stop, the same as I did. I had a lot of pain too, so it would just make me use more. And then the more I use, the more pain I cause others. So that's another thing, hurting others. Not only was I hurting, then I hurt others. That hurt people, that's real. So if that's you and you find yourself hurting people or hurting yourself, it's probably something to look at if you need to stop using drugs and alcohol. Health. Is your health failing? right before I got sober this time, I was in the hospital for 7 days, liver damage. And that's huge. Like, there was a lot of things that, overweight, you know, obviously when I was smoking meth, I was underweight, but when I was back and I was drinking, I was overweight. Smoking meth, you're underweight. That's not healthy. You know what I mean? Like, there's things in my lungs. I have asthma, and I was still using. If you find yourself not working on your health goals or just being unhealthy, period. I know there's a lot of different health reasons why people probably should look at their drinking and drugging. I'm just going to talk about my story and things that I can relate to. So hopefully you can take a look at your health and see if maybe it's time for you to stop drinking and drugging. I'm not here to tell you what to do. Those are just some tips that I have that hopefully can help change someone's life. And I'm just willing to share my journey with others to hopefully you guys can relate to me and take a look at yourselves, because this thing can be, it's deadly. You know, it's death out here. You know, first of all, I was walking dead, literally like a shell, and then eventually I would have just died in these streets, you know. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. Go ahead and like it, share it, comment. Let me know in the comments what's some of the things that make you wonder if maybe you should stop drinking and drugging, or if you are sober, what are some of the things that led you to getting sober? What were some of the reasons that you decided that wasn't non-negotiable anymore and you needed to get sober? I appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace out.